Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cycle Podcast. I am here today with Elva. You may remember her from her story earlier in the year. She is from Ireland, and she has a great accent. We have been chatting back and forth about what we can do over the holidays to ensure that we're resting when we have endometriosis and taking care of ourselves. We have a fun, I guess you would call it fun, but a fun holiday word to give you some tips to get you through the season. Elva, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back again. And happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays. We're excited to have you. If you are listening to this podcast, we do have a video version, which is on YouTube. If you watch that version, you will see that Elva has antlers on and she has her Christmas tree. And what are those guys? Are those like gnomes? Or is that what you call them? Or
I think they're called gonks here, but I think they're quite a Scandinavian. So we've gone a bit Scandi here in Europe. If people are watching, you'll see just like this little village of people behind me. They're kind of faceless little gnomes. They kind of look like they just appear off a mountain, maybe up in Finland. But yeah, I love them. They're just like my little friends. I kind of imagine they come to life at night when I'm gone to bed. So I'm here with my gonks and my Christmas tree and a ridiculous pair of reindeer antlers. But I don't wear this all day. It's just for you.
Very special. We really appreciate it. So Elva actually came up with this fantastic, what is this? Is this called like an
acronym?
An acronym for holiday, for tips for people with endo and ways to manage the season, because we know it can get really busy and most of us are still, in lockdown with the coronavirus. So I am going to let Elva kick it off. She is going to take H. So what can we do for H?
H, and we're not singing it. We're just going to sing.
We're not going to sing.
Singing the
maybe
alphabet.
Next time.
We'll practice. H. I just figured H is a good use for the word help. So for me, a tip is just to ask for help. And it depends on, how you're feeling right now, but it can be everything, especially if you're hosting people, even a small number this year. Ask for help cooking, cleaning, last minute gifts, especially if, a kind of a flare or you don't feel well Christmas itself. Or if you're pre or post op. I'm not long post a big operation and I've kind of just definitely had loads of help around the house lately. So don't be afraid to ask for it. But H is also, I took a second one here. H is also for heat, especially if you're traveling. Make sure you've got your heat support with you. So over that side of the world, you call them heat pads. Over here, we call them hot water bottles. Make sure you've got your heat with you because sometimes it's just that thing that gets you through a bad day, a bad night, and just stay warm. So that's my H. Ask for help and use your heat.
Very good, H. And there are even, I don't know if you have them, but there's actually these heating pads that you can actually like stick into your underwear. So if you are going somewhere and you're dressed up, I can't remember the brand. I've mentioned them before, but you can get them at like the drugstore or the pharmacy.
Do you mean adhesive ones?
Yeah.
Like a stick of plaster.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to use one. It's actually like a girdle. Again,
yes.
Me and Melissa are constantly trading words, but a girdle, it goes right around your back and all around your front.
Yes. Yes. So if you need to be more discreet, if you're getting dressed up, again, in the US, most people are probably having very, very small gatherings or not gathering at all just because of the virus. So if you are home, then yes, you can access we say hot water bottles sometimes too, but it actually has to be a bottle with hot water in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, or your heat pad.
Yeah. We a lot of hot water bottles. Heat pad. We have these cushions. They're like filled with grains. You put them in the microwave?
Yes,
yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I love those. Those are my favorite. I have one that has cherry pits in it.
Oh, wow. We talk sometimes like we're on two different planets. We're only across the ocean.
I know. We're only across the ocean, but yes. Anyway, we're going to move on to O. So get yourself endo organized. So make sure that you have everything you need with you. If you happen to be, if you are traveling or you happen to be going to someone else's house, what do you need to have with you in your little endo bag? Do you need to make sure that, you have your supplements or medications or that little heat pad or something? Whatever you need to do is with you so you're not rushing last minute the day of, because it always seems these couple weeks get very, very busy and you don't want to have to be rushing to the drugstore, or if something is closed down and you can't access it. So get yourself a little, I like to have like a little endo travel bag with me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is just to, kind of allow yourself to be that organized and put yourself first, because I think if you're organized, then if something happens, it's just a blip, you get on with your day. Whereas, rushing out last minute, especially with restrictions and everything closed, you can it can turn into, more of an event than it needs to be. So
And you don't want
get
to
organized.
be stressed, because that just, especially if you don't feel well, it's very, there's times you
Yeah.
can't even get to, the
Yeah.
drugstore or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
okay. What's next, Elva?
L is for letting go. So let it go, Frozen style. But for me, a big one this year is letting go of feeling guilty. And it's feeling guilty for a load of things. If you can't do everything this Christmas, if you need that help that we talked about a few minutes ago, or also feeling guilty that you're causing stress and strain if it's not a good Christmas for you, or if this hasn't been a good time for you over the last few months, and it's now this time of year when you're meant to celebrate. Sometimes the late nights are too much for you, or the kind of the need to perform and look your best. But just kind of try and let go of the need to be perfect, or then the need to feel like you haven't put the family under stress, or friends under stress. Just let it go, because it's your holiday too.
Yep,
So that's
absolutely.
my
It's
L.
such great advice. And, even the pressure of, I struggle with drinking, which I've talked a lot with people, because of the inflammation. I don't process it right. So
Yeah.
I used to feel guilt, like being at holiday parties, and, I can't keep up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just because I don't process it the same way. And I think it's just because of inflammation, but letting go of that guilt was such a huge part of me, just saying like, no, actually I have, chronic inflammation, and I can't drink this, but thank you so much for making it. I'll have a seltzer,
Yeah.
you know?
It's probably wise.
Yeah. I mean,
You'll be the healthiest one of us in
don't
January.
get me wrong. I love a nice cocktail or a glass of wine. It just doesn't love me. Okay. So we were on L, we are now on I. So inform. So 2020 is going to be different just because of everything going on. And also, if you do have endometriosis, you 2020 may have been even just harder for you, because isolation, not being able to get the treatments that you need to do. So just make sure that you're communicating and informing people around you. Don't feel embarrassed. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say to someone, I'm not feeling well, I can't do that. And just being really honest about it. And if you don't feel comfortable being honest about maybe 100%, you could just say, I'm not feeling well. I know that's how I got through it before I really started opening up about having endo. Was I would just tell people, you know what, I'm just not feeling so well. And that's okay. So don't be ashamed of that.
Yeah.
And maybe telling your closest people around you, I really do have something going on, and,
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
And this is kind of sometimes I think when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about a lot of people who are, I mean, it sounds wrong to say they're stuck at home, but they would usually travel, especially, some people would fly. I used to live in the UK. I would always come home for Christmas. And if it was me in England now, I probably would have spent it with a couple of friends, and they mightn't have been people who had ever seen what a bad day for me looked like, and that I could have to just go to bed at a minute's notice and you look like that party pooper. So I was just thinking of a lot of people who might be like that, and they might need to kind of share. And if you want to share with them that it's endo, that's fine. And it could be a great opportunity. They might learn so much more about you. You might get closer, but you don't have to inform them either. As you're saying, Melissa, you can just say, I'm just tired. I've had such a tough year. I'm going to bed. I'm resting. So, but
Yeah.
just make sure that you can tell people that it's okay to say, I'm not feeling good, and I'm taking it easy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
What's
Oh,
up
is it me?
next?
D.
Yes.
D is
Oh,
for diet, not the dieting, because none of us should be doing that at this time of year. We should enjoy ourselves. But for me, it's just, and this has kind of been a newish thing for me this year. I had a lot of kind of issues, but I never had kind of tummy or or real food intolerance issues. But since I had a bowel surgery recently, I've definitely had to watch my diet. So my tip would be to just watch out for those real danger foods, and kind of going back to our getting organized, really try and, identify what you're going to try and avoid putting into things. Or again, if you're at someone's house, be really, you're thankful, but you're really sorry you couldn't possibly eat that, because it would just make you feel rather unwell. So it's get organized with your diet, maybe, bring some of the right foods with you if you're traveling. As you said earlier, make sure you have things like supplements or whatever it is that helps you if you get constipated, or if you have diarrhea or bloating. And make sure you stay really hydrated. Again, it's cold, and we all tend to kind of drink warm drinks, and we have a few more kind of alcoholic drinks sometimes, but stay hydrated, because that's the first thing that goes wrong for me. If I don't stay hydrated, my bowel really acts up. But the other thing is, just don't panic. Don't panic if it happens. If things go a bit wrong, that's the norm and it's temporary. And don't beat yourself up if you've gotten into a big cycle of being constipated, or you're going to the toilet too much. Just get on it, take your supplements, eat a bit cleaner, and probably in a few days it'll pass.
Yeah,
So
and
that
don't
was
feel
my thing.
guilty. I love that. And don't feel if you have the cookie or you eat the
Yeah.
piece of cake and it might not make you feel amazing, but you really enjoyed it. Don't
Yeah.
feel guilty the next day. It's okay. You know,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
like
I keep waiting for the some dietitian to tell me to cut dairy. I've said to you before, I don't think I am intolerant, but I know it's that thing sometimes lately, especially since my op, that I've done a lot of it over a few days. It doesn't make me unwell, but it doesn't help. And so I'm cheesing my way through this Christmas, because I think when I go see someone in January, they're going to go, yeah, you should really cut out dairy. So there'll be no dairy guilt for me this Christmas.
eat all the cheese.
I'm
Eat
eating
all the
all the
cheese.
cheese.
Good for you. Okay,
It's good
good.
for reindeers.
It's very good for reindeers. I don't even know. I think maybe you should have some carrots. I think that's what reindeers.
Carrots. I love carrots. You're
That's
right. I do. I
that's
love raw
good.
carrots. There you go.
Okay, so A is
Mhm.
for anxiety. Oh, good one for me to have is
Yeah.
as Elva knows, I've been struggling a little bit with being anxious. I just have a lot going on and I've gone through some hormonal changes myself. But on top of that, we are living in a much different world, this
Mm,
world in 2020, and with the holidays on top of it compounded. So it's a lot. The holidays are a lot in a normal year without a chronic
yeah.
condition. So it's okay if you are feeling that anxiety. And if you listen to this podcast, you know I'm a huge fan of meditation. It's really
Mm,
changed my life, it's changed who I am. And I know that the power of breath can calm me down very quickly. And if you need to go lock yourself in the bathroom because the kids are running around and making you crazy, or you're at someone's house or family, go in there and take 10 deep breaths. It really, really does help. Deep belly breaths. I know it sounds silly and I know it doesn't cure the anxiety, but it can take you out of the acute moment if you're really having a flare of anxiety. But also yoga, journaling,
mm,
write down how you're feeling if you are feeling anxious. I also really like essential oils, or just diffusing lavender, or having some sort of like lavender scent. I have one of my heating packs actually has lavender in it, and just
mm,
even taking a big whiff of that, it can calm me down. Now, I know this isn't going to be the anxiety cure, but at least it can help calm you down in the moment so you can enjoy if you are at someone's house or home and just feeling really stressed because you haven't been able to leave the house in 6 months. These tactics have really helped myself personally, and I just like to share them with people. And I do love yoga as well. Gentle yoga really helps me
yeah.
as well.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said, though, that like it's anxiety is going to come, I think, with most of us this Christmas. It's a really big year. And I think a lot of get-togethers are going to happen online,
Yeah.
which, people think is really easy, but sometimes that can be a bit more awkward. It's just so much easier when you see people face to face. And like that, if people are asking those questions, or if you've, been through things this year, and they'll probably be asking out of genuine concern. But, I think the other thing is that, again, it's the let it go. It's okay to actually actually say, oh, I'm great and I'm doing well, and not talk about it. So we're talking
Yeah.
a lot, I think, in this little podcast about being open and talking to people, but it's actually okay to just not talk about it and have a completely endo-free Christmas. If you want to just switch off and ignore the whole thing, it's not denial, it's just giving yourself a break. So that's okay too.
It's a good point, Elva. I really struggle with the question when people say, how are you? And I'm guilty of asking people that question all the time. But when I am not doing well, I do struggle because I don't want to constantly say, I'm not well,
I'm not well. Yeah.
not well. And so I struggle with that question. I usually avoid it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You're right. You can
Yeah.
totally not talk about it if you don't want to, but if you do, then you should.
Well, you need to become Irish, because basically when you ask someone if they're okay here, everyone just says, I'm grand, which again, grand means okay. And it's terrible. Like, you could literally, someone could have, their leg hanging off and you'd say, are you okay? And it's, I'm grand, I'm grand. So we need to do the opposite here. We kind of need to open up a little bit more probably, because you're not grand. But yeah, well, when you finally get to Ireland, I'll teach you some
I'm already
denial.
going to say I'm grand.
You're grand. I'm grand.
I'm adopting that today. When instead of okay, I'm going with grand.
I'm grand. Yeah.
So serious. Okay, Elva's
Okay.
going to wrap us up with why, and then I'll recap.
Yeah. So why is for year? And it's maybe just taking an opportunity to look at the year to date and the year ahead, and look at the year you've had and how, I think, incredibly strong everyone has been. So this could be endometriosis related, or it could be anyone else in your family. It's what we've all gotten through, but particularly because we're talking about endometriosis. If you've just gotten to the end of a year where you've had ups and downs, or you've had the worst year yet, you got through it and you're incredibly strong. And it's just to allow yourself to feel a little bit vulnerable, if you need to. Especially, it might be a good time to spend some time alone if you're going to be alone at Christmas, and don't look at that negatively. Kind of spend some time with yourself. But if you do think you need more support, kind of use the time as well to look for the right support groups. So you have a great Facebook support group, with the cycle, with the podcast. Maybe listen to some more old episodes. I went back and listened to loads of Melissa's episodes when I was first diagnosed. Or just, you might find a friend of a friend of a friend. So maybe, I don't do New Year's resolutions, because I'm terrible at them. But, if you decide to do one thing and it is to open up or get some more support, do it. But frame it with the fact that you've gotten through a whole amazing year, and look to the year ahead. Could be the best year ever, even though it's probably going to involve some more restrictions. But hey, so why was for year. There you go.
Beautiful. And I am looking forward to next year. And I do think I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Things are going to get better, and a new year is always just a fresh start, right? So, and I agree, like, I don't think we need to put the pressure on ourselves of having these New Year's resolutions. I think do what feels right for you. Some people really like to have them, but maybe you choose, okay, in 2021, I'm going to just accomplish this one thing. And maybe it's trying pelvic floor therapy, or it's trying to walk a mile every day, or, something very simple like that, I think makes a lot of sense, instead of, sometimes we try to put all of these things on ourselves and stress ourselves out. So,
but I think the other thing, one quick thing to call out as well, is for those people. I mean, I do call it a blessed position. I had my big surgery only recently, but so many people, I've talked to some people, so many people are out there and they keep having procedures cancelled because of what's going on. And it's the right thing to do in many ways, but it's so hard. I mean, some people are getting them cancelled on the morning, and that is so incredibly hard if you're waiting so long for just an ease of what you're going through. So again, just like, it sounds really, it's easy for me to say this, but just hang in there and maybe use lots of positive energy to try and, I don't know, if you believe in manifesting, that it will happen. Hopefully, you're, whether it's a diagnosis procedure or it's something to resolve or help pain, or just getting to see the right person, finding the right doctor, just keep hanging on that it will happen in 2021. It happened for me in 2020. I got, a lot of things sorted, and so just hang in there.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. There is hope. So definitely hold on to that hope. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel getting us out of this kind of COVID restrictions. I do think that things will be much lighter, I hope, in 2021. So to quickly recap, holiday, which Elva wrote all of this, I'm giving her all the credit. She is amazing. So
I'm just good at acronyms. It's just
very good at acronyms. So H is, just remember this, H is for help, O is for organized, L is for let go, I is for inform, D is for diet, A is for anxiety, Y is for year. And we are wishing you a wonderful holiday season, however you may celebrate, and a happy, happy, happy 2021 on to bigger and better things. Cheers to everyone. Thank you so much for listening. This is going to be the last episode of this year. I look forward to seeing you all in January of 2021. I have a huge lineup coming, and I'm just so grateful for 2 years of support. Thank you all so, so much for listening to this podcast. If you have any feedback, my email is in the show notes. Please let me know. If you'd like to be on the show, please let me know as well in my email. Again, thank you to all of the brave people who have been on the show the past 2 years. I'm completely in awe of you, humbled and honored to chat with you. Elva, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much, and well done you. Another amazing year, so well done.
Thank you.